Hi, guys. I'm here with Danielle and Jonah. Jonah is my cousin. And where are you guys at right now? You're in North Carolina?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. I know you very well, cousin.
We live right outside of Charleston, South Carolina. The town is called Monk's Corner. So we're probably 25-30 minutes outside of Charleston.
Okay. Thank you. And I've got to introduce Luke, too. This is Luke, Mr. Cutie Pants.
Luke and Sophie.
Yeah. So I want to get to know you guys a little bit better first. So I'm going to start by asking you how you met.
Sure.
Well, I think that's a great question to start with because there may be two different versions of the story.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'll let Danielle go ahead and say hers first.
Okay.
Well, we met at the gym, at Gold's Gym. I was a customer there, coming in, working out after work all the time. And Jonah worked there as a personal trainer. Well, I guess he became the personal training manager while I was a customer there. And I always saw him all the time. He was always there. And I'm like, oh, that guy's cute, Like, he looks like a nice guy, too. Like, I wish I could meet him. But I worked out there for a while, I think, before we actually met. And basically I signed up for personal training, kind of hoping, or I guess mainly hoping I would maybe meet him. And my plan worked. I met him, I signed up and he introduced himself and I was hoping he'd be my trainer, but he said that all the guys were booked. So I had to be with a female trainer, which was fine. But anyway, it still led me to meet him. Things just, developed from there. We were friends for a while and then started dating after I broke up with the guy that I was currently.
Jonah, is
that's pretty accurate to the version I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people are surprised that Danielle was kind of the one that, I guess, kind of initiated most of the stuff and, I guess paid basically to meet me. So I don't know if that's illegal somehow, but anyways, I think it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say so. Say so. So you guys, I love your I didn't get to go to your wedding, but your wedding pictures, it's one of my favorite. And yeah, and for a couple of reasons. I think so much of you two as a couple. I think you're just a really good match, and you're so respectful and kind to each other, and you're just a really good example of a good relationship, what it looks like. But, yeah, and you guys got married very close to my hometown. So on top of a mountain. It was beautiful. The pictures are beautiful. But you also did something that was pretty unique and very touching, and one of your groomsmen, Jonah, was our grandpa.
Yeah, I couldn't not have Pappy in our wedding somehow. And
yes.
I don't know exactly how I came up with the idea. I'm sure the Lord had a lot to do with it, but I wanted to have my groomsmen be the people, I guess the men in my life that I feel like have had the most influential and positive impact on me. So that had a lot to do with it. Obviously, both my brothers and Pappy and a couple friends. So that was something that was really important and very special to me. And so it was like you said, it was a very special day. So
Yes. I still go back and stalk your Facebook page and look at those pictures from time to time.
I'll be blowing up Facebook with more on 2 days because it'll be our 4-year anniversary.
Oh, well, happy anniversary early.
Thank you.
You guys aren't far off from Brian and I. We were the second. So.
Oh, happy late.
Thanks. Thanks. So, we're obviously talking, for a reason, and it wasn't long. Let's see. I get a little emotional with you too. So, When did you guys find out that your family was growing?
It was on April 15th.
You remember the day?
Only because it's tax day.
Oh, okay.
I remember when I found out, I'm like, I will always remember this day because,
Yes.
you know, tax day.
Yeah.
Are you alright, bud? Sorry.
It's okay.
So it was April 15th, 2014. I think I had this weird cramping going on a few days before. We actually were not trying to.
Really?
Yeah. We weren't trying at the time. We had actually recently talked about like when we would and all of that, but I just had a feeling that, you know, I may be pregnant, but I had taken tests in the past and they were negative, so, you know, I wasn't really expecting anything. So I work from home, so I took the test in the morning while Jonah was at work, and I was just shocked. I think I probably cursed when I saw it. Not bad way, but like in a shocked way. I was like, oh my gosh, you know?
Yes.
And when I saw that there were 2 lines there, and I was just so ecstatic right away. I was like shaking, like, because I was in shock and just so ecstatic because, I mean, I was really wanting a baby at that time, and it was just exciting that it was a surprise like that. And
how did you tell Jonah?
When Jonah got home from work that afternoon, like I couldn't wait to tell him any longer.
Yeah.
And I remember I was at my desk and he just sat in the corner of the room, and I just basically told him that I'm pregnant. And what did
You told me something like to kind of, you know, be a little misleading or kind of make it inconspicuous, but I don't recall exactly what it was.
Yeah, I said something kind of in a funny way, and he was like, "What? You're pregnant?" And I was like, "Babe, that's awesome," or something, and it was just really, really exciting. Again, best surprise that we've ever had. So
absolutely, yeah. So, how was your? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say we were just thrilled. So,
how was your pregnancy? Any?
Pregnancy, it was just, you know, typical pregnancy, I guess. I mean, it was my first time being pregnant. So I know at first we were both kind of anxious since it was a surprise, and, you know, just knowing that sometimes things can go wrong. Like, you know, we're nervous to get excited about it until we went to the doctor and confirmed, like, you know, I really am pregnant. Everything was fine at our first appointment, and, you know, throughout the whole pregnancy, I was just nauseous during the first trimester.
And then fine after that?
Yeah, after that, I felt great. I loved being pregnant. All of my appointments went perfectly. I felt great. I was the happiest I'd ever been in my entire life. I felt great, and I was so excited to bring home our baby girl. So it was just a wonderful time, and healthy baby on all the ultrasounds, and never any concerns. So
how did you, so you found out it was a girl.
Yeah.
And did you pick out her name instantly? Was it something that you guys debated over?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it actually took a good while, and I don't even think it, you know, when by the time she passed away, I don't even think that we had it, you know, before then, and as far as we had, you know, definitely decided. So we went back and forth, you know, with a few names that we had kind of narrowed it down to, and so, you know, we hadn't decided 100% what it was, but we knew that we knew that we definitely wanted to use a biblical name, and that was that was, I think, pretty much the main focus, and we had a couple possibilities, but
yeah, Lydia, we actually had just decided her name maybe, I don't know, probably less than a month before she was born. We had finally both agreed on her name, so.
Her first and her middle name?
Yeah. Well, we had completely agreed on the first name. We were still
Debating on it.
But yeah, when she was born, it just right away, we knew what it was. So.
So, Danielle and Jonah, how did you find out that she had passed away? Did you have any warning signs or?
So I had been sick the week prior, with a cold.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I'm a little bit.
You're okay.
I'm trying to think about the question. So I had been sick the week prior, and it was the weekend. The weekend got there, and since I was sick the whole week before, I hadn't done any of my errands or anything. So that weekend I was just really busy trying to get things done. I was trying to get her nursery ready. So I was really preoccupied. But that Saturday, I'd felt her moving. I had a milkshake that day, and she was really moving a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Jonah, oh, she loves that milkshake. She's dancing. I think I said she's dancing around like crazy. And then Sunday came. Let me think if I was going to say something else. So Saturday night, actually, let me back up. Okay, so Saturday night we stayed up and watched a movie, and that night I went to bed, and it was later than normal when I went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
She'd always kick around a lot when I would go to bed, and I noticed when I went to bed that night she really wasn't moving as much, and I thought, oh, she's tired. I just thought she was already asleep, and so I didn't think much of it. And then Sunday came around, and I just really wasn't feeling her move much that day, and I just thought that I was distracted since I was so busy that day. I thought she was moving, but I just wasn't noticing it, so I was trying to just stay calm, or I thought maybe she was sleepy or napping.
And it's not, I don't know about you, but it's not something you are taught to pay attention to as much. It's not something that you kind of are constantly aware of. It's just, you just go on about your day and you feel her when she kicks and she moves around, but you don't really notice when,
Right. Yeah, I didn't, I had actually asked my doctor and nurse at the last appointment that I had before that. I said, sometimes I feel like I don't notice her move as much on the weekends. And I thought it was just because I was so busy all the time on the weekend, During the week I'm sitting at my desk and I can really notice it. But when I mentioned that to them, they didn't say anything about, you need to feel this many movements in a day. They just, told me to drink some juice or whatever, and that should get her going. So they just didn't act concerned at all. So basically when that weekend came and I wasn't feeling her move as much, I assumed it was because I was busy, moving around, or I just thought she was sleepy. I really didn't think much about it. But as that evening came on, I started to get more and more worried, and after dinner, when she wasn't moving, she always moved after dinner. That was her really active time. So I was something's not right. And then I drank juice. I ate ice cream. I was basically making myself sick with all the sugar.
Right.
I was sitting on the recliner, lying down, poking, and, nothing was happening. And I didn't think, obviously I did not think she had passed away at all. That was the furthest thing from my mind. But I finally decided to call the doctor Sunday at around 9 o'clock. And, she just told me, go ahead and go in just to get monitored. just, to ease your mind. She didn't really sound concerned either. So we went into labor and delivery, and at that point I started crying just because I was kind of freaked out about it all and just thinking, like, what's wrong? Like, what's going on here? So we got to labor and delivery, and they had me change and then into the gown, and then they set up the, the Doppler.
The ultrasound?
Well, they just did the...
for the heartbeat.
The heartbeat first. And it's like the very moment that she put it on my belly, there was just like complete, like static sound, there's no heartbeat. And I mean, it was like the loudest silence you could ever hear. I mean, I immediately knew something wasn't right, because at that point, as soon as you put it on, you hear the heartbeat. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I don't know how long it was that they were searching. I mean, it felt like a lifetime, but I mean, I don't know how many minutes it was, but the nurse kept searching, saying maybe she's in a funny position. She had another nurse come in, and it was just like, I was just so, I'm like, somebody please, like, figure out what's going on. And they picked up my heartbeat one time, and I almost sighed a sigh of relief thinking it was her. But ultimately they're like, well, let's go get a doctor to do an ultrasound. Again, they did not hint to us like that they thought she passed away or anything, but some doctor came in that I had never met before, and he just, did the ultrasound. I looked right at it, and there I saw, our beautiful daughter, and there was just nothing, no heartbeat, nothing. And he just said, I'm sorry. I don't even remember his exact words at this point, I think.
So, yeah. So he said something about, I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat. But I remember very vividly that before we left the house to go to the hospital, but right before I shut the door, I looked into the house and I thought, this will be the last time that it'll be just Danielle and I, because I thought we were going to be having a baby that night. So
that's how we found out. Sorry, that was a long-winded.
No, that's okay.
About how it all went down, but I mean, it was just complete shock and out-of-body experience, really. I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah, that's how I would explain it, too. It was almost like you're watching it happen, witnessing it happen. You're aware, but it's not really real yet. I actually remember exactly where I was when I found out. Your brother, my cousin, Jacob, had called me, and I was just crushed for you guys, because immediately, I went right back to Mac and feeling all those things, and I had an idea of what you're experiencing, and it's just unlike anything anybody could ever prepare you for, or just, it's terrible. So,
yes, it is.
So, what did Lydia look like? Whose nose did she have? And I want to know about Lydia.
Well, Lydia was absolutely beautiful. I was terrified, when I found out that I'd have to deliver her not living. I didn't know what to expect, I didn't know how she would look, or, I was really scared. But of course we wanted to hold her, and she was just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
She really was, just so pretty and perfect, and just a perfect little baby, 3 pounds, 8 ounces, 18 inches long, and she had brown hair, just like her brother Luke does. of course, we never saw her eye color or anything like that, or never saw her open her eyes, but she had the cute little button nose. I don't know whose nose she had. Jonah and I actually have very similar noses. So I think she just had, both of our noses.
Yeah.
But everyone says that she has my mouth and my chin, which I can definitely see.
Yeah.
And then I think she had Jonah's feet. Something about the feet remind me so much of Jonah's feet.
Yeah.
So, but she was beautiful. I know Jonah had even said to me when we were holding her, that she really was the most beautiful baby he'd ever seen, like genuinely.
I don't have a problem with being honest, and I'll say that when Luke was born, he to me he looked like an alien. Seriously,
Luke.
I mean, I didn't, think anything, badly of him or anything like that.
Yeah.
But when we saw Lydia the first time, I was in shock of how beautiful she was. But Luke, thankfully, he got a lot more good looking as months or weeks went by. So
I don't think he looked like an alien. He's always been just cute.
Oh. So I've been asking this question, and it's for me, it was one of the hardest things that I had to do. What was it like leaving the hospital without her?
That was extremely difficult for me. And I just want to say, I find it interesting that a lot of moms I've talked to who've lost babies, it seems like they just want to get out of the hospital as soon as possible. And I actually, I didn't even want to leave. I don't know why. I was in that room. I remember the window being there, and I was just looking out the window, trying to fathom, how the world is still going on.
Yeah.
As it was before when my daughter just died, I just I couldn't imagine going back into the world. It's I didn't want it to be real, and I felt like leaving made it more real. So that was really hard for me. I mean, I even stayed an extra night, and I'll never forget, walking out, or I guess I was wheeled out. Probably, I don't even remember, but I just remember standing there with the nurse, crying as I was waiting for Jonah to pull the car up. Because when the last time I'd been outside, I'd gotten there and I was pregnant and thinking my baby was still alive, and I'm supposed to be bringing home our first living baby that we'd prepared for, and I don't know, it was just dating.
I feel very similar to you, Danielle. I felt safe in the hospital. I felt very, you're heartbroken, and it's just, but I felt safe in a way. I was scared to death of what my life looked like outside of the hospital. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
So you go home, and you had to look at her little nursery, and I think those are things too that people don't realize how hard and how difficult it is. You have the baby shower, you have this whole life planned with this baby, and it's just not what you expected.
Right.
What are some of the ways that people have supported you? And I would really love to know about some of the smaller ways. As you know, because we've talked, one of the main reasons why I wanted to start this interview series is because I really want to open people's hearts and minds to this type of grief, and help them understand what supporting us looks like. And it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It can, most often, it's the small little things, in my opinion, that mean so much. So
For me, I would just say, I mean, our family and friends really were amazing. You know, several of them drove down here. I know even one of Jonah's aunts drove down like through the middle of the night to be there at her memorial service. And they just, didn't, ask, what can we do? They just showed up, and they were just there for us. And even as the time's gone on, just having them say, oh, I'm thinking about Lydia, or if they see something that reminds them of Lydia and they tell us that, or just say that they're thinking of us. I mean, a lot of people also got us these really sweet, like, personalized necklaces or bracelets, anything with her name on it. Just hearing Lydia's name and hearing that she's remembered by them is really the best gift to us. Just like you were saying, it's the small things, and it's just those things every day, just the support and continuing to remember her with us. I mean, she's our daughter. She may not be here today, but she's always our daughter. She's always our first child. She's always on our minds. I mean, I think about her all the time, every day, every hour. I don't even know how often, but she's always there.
Isn't it amazing how often we don't talk about them every time we think about them, but they're just constantly, they're always there. They're always on our minds, always on our hearts. And that doesn't go away for us. And for me, Danielle, and I'd love to know how you feel about this. For me, that's been one of the things I've most struggled with, because he is always on my mind. And for me, it doesn't mean that I am stuck. Right. Or that I'm broken. It's just, I'm his mom. He's my son, and I'm always thinking of it. But I have to always remember that just because I'm like that, that doesn't mean that everyone around me remembers him as often as me, and it's okay. With this interview series, I think that it's important for me to not only say, hey, I want you to be more open and comfortable around me, but I want also to get the point across that, we're not demanding. And we have to be okay that, it's not part of everybody's life like it is ours.
Right.
But it does mean the world whenever we can talk about them or hear their names, and it just means so much, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's sad, but it's also like it brings us joy to, our hearts are broken that they're not here, but I know for you with Mac and for me with Lydia, I feel like I just light up with happiness at the same time when I'm talking about Lydia, because she brings me joy even today, even though I am very sad as well. But
yeah, when does she pop into your head and you get like this little, smile, and just kind of like a reminder that, yes, I know you're there, or,
Yeah, it's just the little reminders. The ladybugs, which I know you've seen them, and make you think of Mac too.
Yes. I love
bugs.
I love that you call them Lydia bugs.
Yeah.
Lydia bugs.
One of my friends, another friend who's actually a lost mom, she lost her daughter. She and I talk a lot online, and she came up with the Ladybug. I was like, oh, that's perfect. So it's just like those things, even like a little butterfly, it's the things I never paid attention to before. Like I always just wonder, I'm like, is this some kind of, gift from God to remind me of my daughter? Those things make me smile. And a beautiful sunset, just because I'm picturing, what does she see in heaven? I'm sure it's far more beautiful than even the beautiful sunset here. But
I love that you brought that up, Danielle, because it is, you and I share a very similar belief. We know where our kids are. Yeah. And it makes me sad that they're not here, but if they have to be anywhere else, that's where I would want them. So,
absolutely.
And my kids actually talk about what they're doing in heaven and just the beauty that they get to see, you know. On Mac's anniversary, Hagen often says, I wonder if he's riding a lion, or, you know, like, he's just, in his head, just, heaven is just this really cool, like, anything is possible, beautiful, and I love that. I think that that's, a big reason why we are not moving forward, but moving, you know, finding a new normal for our life and carrying on. So, yeah. But, you have a song that reminds you of Lydia. I believe it was playing the first time that you had went back to church, or
Yeah. Well, there's a few. There was the one that is Oceans by Hillsong. We actually played that at her memorial service, and I remember it had been a while since we went back to church right after she had passed away, but the first time we did go back, they happened to play that song, the worship band did, and it just, I mean, even now I get chills. Like, I was just blown away that, you know, they don't play that song every service, you know, and that song made us think of her. So that was really amazing and special. And there's another song that I listened to a lot during my pregnancy with her. It was just one of my favorite songs. I think it's Danny Goki is the singer, and the song is "There's Hope in Front of Me." And I used to just blast it and sing it when I was pregnant. So of course that always makes me think of her too. And I used to hear that on the radio all the time after we lost her. And as I would drive to the cemetery, it would come on like right during that quick 10-minute drive. It was just always, you know, I just really don't see any of these things as coincidence. You know, it's all happening because, you know, it's a blessing from the Lord to, you know, remind me of Lydia, and that she's always with me. So
I believe that too, wholeheartedly. Yes. After Lydia, how has it changed you, Danielle? Like, how has I'll give you for example. After Mac, I saw things, I feel like, with my heart wide open. I cherished things that I hadn't cherished before, took advantage of even. So he really opened my mind, my heart, my eyes to so much that was right in front of me that I took for granted, and it helped me see things as blessings that I would have overlooked before.
For sure. I can definitely relate to that. I know that, you know, losing her has really opened my eyes and opened my heart, and I just appreciate the little things, like I was mentioning, like the beautiful sunsets and the little butterflies and the little things like that, but even the little joys of every day, and having our Luke here now, just being so grateful for every moment that we have with him. You know, I even try my hardest not to get frustrated, you know, like if he's waking up multiple times a night, you know, or exhausted, I'm just like, I'm so grateful to have a living baby here with me. And so just things like that, and things that used to bother me before are just so unimportant now. Like, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I'm just like, well, that does not even really matter, you know. So there's those things. And then I just feel like I want to make a difference in her honor. So that's what I strive to do.
You are.
Yeah.
You are, and that's something that I wanted to talk to you about too, because We all do something different and in our own way, but you and Jonah are just really doing some wonderful things. And I want to talk about that because I don't think that everybody knows, they're not familiar with the things that you've been doing, and I want them to be.
Yeah.
So, it's one of the most touching things to me was your Cuddle Cot campaign. And you and another mother went together and started this campaign, and you've been able to supply several hospitals with these cuddle cots. So I'm going to let you explain what a cuddle cot is and talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So I think my friend had actually shared the idea of the cuddle cot at one of our support group meetings. She had seen that other moms throughout the country were raising money to donate them to hospitals. And what a cuddle cot is, it's basically like a cooling unit that goes inside of a Moses basket for a baby. So it keeps the baby's body cool, which delays the process that occurs with death, skin changing and everything like that. So essentially it provides the family with more time to spend with their baby. I know for us, we had the evening with Lydia. I had her at 7:56 that night, and we held her that evening. And they had to take her to the morgue that night. And that was just really hard, because they had to keep her cool, obviously, so that we could, see her again the next morning. We were blessed to be able to see her again the next morning. I don't know that every family even gets that opportunity, but with a cuddle cot, you don't have to take them to the morgue. They can just stay there right beside your hospital bed for a longer period of time. And it just, delays, again, those changes from happening. I know when I was holding Lydia, as time progressed, things started changing, her skin was peeling and the color was just changing. And that was hard to see too, even though she's still just as beautiful to me, it's just like a reminder that the time is short and that she had to go back. And so I wanted to do something in Lydia's honor by her birthday. And when my friend told me about this idea, I was like, oh, that would be so amazing to donate these cuddle cots so that other families can have that time with their babies. So we did it, and we were both nervous for it. We're like, how are we going to raise this money? We didn't know if people would donate or, and we both are not comfortable with asking people for money. And it was just crazy, but
you guys did an amazing job. You raised so much. You not only, met your goal, but you exceeded it.
We did. Yeah, we donated one by Lydia's birthday, and we donated one by my friend Tara's daughter Leah's birthday, and then we had raised enough toward a third, so we're still in the process of trying to get the money for the third. But it was just, our family and friends were amazing to how they stepped up, and it was like 2 weeks when we met our goal.
I know.
It was amazing. So
well, I know that when I saw that come across and when I was reading about it, it touched me. I mean, because that time that you get to have with them, it's the only time you get. And it's precious. So, yes, it's very short. And so I am very thankful and appreciative as a mom of a stillborn that you guys have done that. It's just, you are also supporting an advocate for Count the Kicks.
Yes.
Which is an app.
Yeah. Count the Kicks. So when we lost Lydia, I just, I was in shock and I was angry, and, it was a court accident, and, I just kept thinking about how I wasn't noticing her move as much, but that I didn't know that could have, signaled a warning sign. And nobody said that to me at the hospital either, that, oh, did you notice the change in movements? There was nothing like that. But as I started researching more and more about stillbirth and prevention of stillbirth, that's when I came across Count the Kicks, and I was like, wow, why hadn't I known that this was so important? Again, my doctor never said anything to me about it, and it's just an app, and it's such a simple tool for mothers to be able to monitor their baby's movements every day in the third trimester, to notice if there is a change. You notice right away because you're counting all the time, or not all the time, but you're counting every day.
Yeah.
Using your app. So it's just, I was just intrigued by that, and it was started by 5 mothers who all lost daughters in Iowa. It started by them in 2009, and in Iowa, I think most of the hospitals and doctors are using Count the Kicks.
That's amazing.
Promoting it with their patients, and they actually have seen a 30% reduction in stillbirth rates.
Wow.
Since Count the Kicks started. Yeah, so when I saw that, I'm like, wow, that is amazing. If I could even help to save one baby through this, that would be, just such an honor to do for Lydia. So yeah, I became the ambassador here in South Carolina, just trying to spread the word to expectant mothers and doctors and providers here. So
very cool. You inspire me, Danielle. I see the work that you're doing, and it just inspires me. And I know Lydia's I know Lydia's got to be so proud of you for what you're doing.
I hope so. Thank you.
I have a couple more questions, but I get a little sidetracked, so bear with me.
No problem.
My last question here before we end this first part. What is the one thing that you wish more people would understand about what it means to be a mom or dad of a stillborn?
Just that, we're always their parent. They're always our child. We are always remembering them. They're always on our hearts. And again, even though we're not constantly talking about them, or even when we do talk about them, or I guess I should back up, even though we're not always constantly talking about them, they all are always on our minds. And then when we do talk about them, like you were saying earlier, that doesn't mean like we're just stuck in our grief or we're not moving on. I mean, there is no moving on. Like when you deliver your baby and hold your baby in your arms, and you're always that baby's mother or father. That doesn't go away. So sometimes I just get frustrated, and it's my own fault because nobody has ever said anything like negative to me about this, but I just get frustrated thinking that people think maybe I need to move on, or that, Luke's here now, so why is she still, so upset about her daughter? Like, I don't know if anybody thinks that way, but sometimes I feel like maybe some people do, and I just want people to understand that Lydia is always my daughter, just as Luke is always my son, and they just have a special place in my heart forever. So
absolutely, I think with every day we think of them, but even more so through the holidays and through any special occasion, family gathering. I mean, they're probably present in our hearts and our minds even more so, because we do, it doesn't hold us back. We're not stuck, but it's pretty normal to think, what would they be doing right now?
For sure.
I think that's very natural. So
yeah, I always am going through like the milestones in my head, like, oh, Lydia would be 1.5 right now, or I'll need another mom, and she's like, oh, I have an 18-month-old, and I'm thinking in my head, so do I, but she's just not here.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I know I still do that to this day. So I think we always will. I mean, no matter how old. I was really surprised to learn how many women who were much older than me have had stillborns.
Mm-hmm.
You'd never know because it's not talked about.
Right.
And it really breaks my heart to think, if it's this hard right now to talk about, it's not a comfortable conversation to have, understandably so.
Right.
But what was it like for them? I
know. I can't even imagine. I tell Jonah and my best friends, that I would be far worse off, emotionally right now if I felt like I couldn't talk about her or share about her. That's just healing for me, and to get the support that I've had has been so helpful, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely.
I don't know how mothers or how they kept it in. I just can't imagine. So
no, I picture them leaving the hospital and then not, and because it is impossible to continue a life exactly as you had it after them, because it's not the same. Nothing's the same, and to go on to try to do that would just be heart-wrenching and just constant struggle. So
for sure, yeah.
Well, I am going to wrap up here, but I wanted to talk to you and Jonah about Mr. Cutie Pants.
Mr. Cutie.
Yes. So thank you, Danielle, and thank Jonah for me, and Luke.
I will. Little Luke was getting a little impatient.
Jonah was being a good dad.
Playing with Daddy now.
Yes. Well, thank you guys very much for talking to me.
Thank you.